Oh, good morning, class. Hope it is a very good one. Today I'm privileged to again have you on this platform. I think it is well. Last time we met, we discussed quadratic equations, solving quadratic equation, but we were using factorization method. I left you with some numbers to try as an exercise. Let me hope you did them and they came out very well. This morning, I want us to still solve quadratic equation, but this time around, we are going to use formula method or quadratic formula, which is commonly known as bulldozer method. Going right away to the point, if you are to solve quadratic equation using bulldozer method, we need to first know that formula itself. And that's why here we are going to derive that formula. After deriving, we shall just be quoting the formula and substituting the parameters. In this case, we are considering the equation ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0, which is the general expression for quadratic equation. And from here, we derive the expression for quadratic formula. And here are the steps. The first step is you have to make sure that the coefficient of x squared is 1. So from the expression ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0, when you look at that, the coefficient of x squared is a. Good. So the coefficient of x squared here is a. So we have to first make the coefficient of x squared 1. And how do we do that? We just divide all through by what? All through by a. So dividing all through by a, all through by a, all through by a, all through by a, we shall get x squared here plus b over a x plus c over a to be equals to what? 0. Then from there, we take this the other side. The c over a, we take it the other side. We take it the other side, we shall have x squared plus b over ax to be equals to negative c over a. Good. We complete the square here now. After having taken this on the other side, we complete the square. This remaining part, when you have to complete the square, is the same as x plus a half coefficient of what? Coefficient of x, but squared minus a half coefficient of x close squared. That is only this bracket. We are completing the square now. Only this bracket is the same as x plus a half coefficient of x squared minus a half coefficient of what? X, but what? Should be squared. From there, if that's the case, coefficient of x here is b over a. So getting half of it is like multiplying by 1 over 2. So you multiply by 1 over 2, b over a multiplied by 1 over 2, you get what? You get b over 2a. So you shall have x plus a half coefficient of x is going to be b over 2a. Please don't forget that we are squaring, minus into bracket a half coefficient of x, which is b over what? B over a. This is what? Squared. Should be equals to negative c over a. So we shall have x plus b over 2a close squared minus, this is like a b over 2a also what? Squared to be equals to negative c over a. This square will square b and also 2a. So we shall have x plus b over 2a close squared minus, this is like b squared over 4a squared should be equals to negative c over a. When we reach here, we take this on the other side. It's a minus. When it crosses the other side, becomes what? A plus. Is that fine? Good. Let's take it. When we take it there, what do we get here? This side we shall remain with x plus b over 2a close squared to b equals 2. When you take this on the other side, it will be a positive one. That is b squared over 4a squared. Please don't forget that there is negative c over a that will get that side. So it's minus c over a. After reaching here, we take the LCM. So we shall have x plus b over 2a close squared to be equals to LCM here is 4a squared. So this is 4a squared. 4a squared divided by 4a squared, 1. 1 times b squared, b squared. Good. B squared minus 4a squared divided by 4a. It is 4a. 4a squared divided by a is 4a. 4a times c, that is 4ac. Good. Then from there, we take the square root on both sides. Remember, we want to make x the subject of the formula. Taking the square root on both sides, taking square root on both sides. When you have to take square roots on both sides, you take the square root on the upper one and the square root on the down one, also square root on this. But taking square root on this, the square root will cancel with that. So we shall remain with only x plus b over 2a. Then here we shall have square root up, that is square root of b squared minus 4a, 4ac, divided by square root down, which is square root of 4a squared. We shall have x plus b over 2a to be equal to square root, we maintain that square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by, we take the square root of 4a squared. Square root of 4 is 2. Square root of a squared is a. So it is 2a, but it's positive or negative. Is that okay? Good. Then after reaching there, remember we are interested in making b the subject, x the subject of the formula. So that means we take this the other side. It's a positive, when it crosses the other side becomes a negative. So we shall have x to be equal to negative b over 2a plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac everything divided by 2a. After reaching there, you take the LCM. Of course, you are combining this with that. So the LCM is 2a. 2a is common both sides. So we take it to be our LCM. So that means that we shall have x to be equal to LCM is 2a. So 2a divided by 2a, you get 1. 1 times negative b, you get negative b. Plus or minus 2a divided by 2a, you get 1. 1 times this one, you get exactly that. Square root of b squared minus 4ac. Good. This is what we call to be the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula, if the equation is of the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0, if I'm to get the value of x, then it's given by negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. Good. So when I'm solving equation using quadratic formula, we just quote the formula. We don't need to derive it. We need to just quote the formula. But that's the formula. So from the equation, x equals to negative b plus or minus root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a, 3 cases may arise. And the first case, actually the cases can come from here. They come from here. When you look at b squared minus 4ac, take an example. If b squared is 4 and 4ac is 7, what is the result here? It is negative 3. No, so 4 minus 7, that is negative 3. What is square root of negative 3? Does not exist. What about if b squared is 7 and 4ac is 4? That is 3. What is square root of a 3? It exists. So the other one does not exist. This one it exists. Do you see that? So there is a contradiction there. Now, if we have b squared less than 4ac, a moment b squared is less than 4ac, we get case number 3. Case 3. The equation will have no real what? Real roots. Why? You can never get the square root of a negative. And so we say it has a complex what? A complex root. That is case 1. If b squared is less than 4ac, you get a complex what? Root. We have a case where b squared is greater than 4ac. Good. When you have b squared greater than 4ac, you will have two distinct. When talk of distinct, we are saying two different real roots. Then a case where b squared is equal to 4ac, you will have repeated or two equal roots. If x1 is 3, x2 will also be what? Will also be 3. When does that one occur? It occurs when b squared is equal to 4ac. Hope those cases are very clear. You need to understand them, when they occur, and how to deal with them, respectively. Let's look at example number 1. Example number 1 says, solve the equation 2x squared plus 3x minus 1 equals to 0 using quadratic formula. It's all that simple. When you have to use quadratic formula, I told you, you just need to quote. You don't need to derive. You just do the what? Just do the quoting. So if this is the equation, then we're saying our equation is 2x squared plus 3x minus 1 equals to 0. Please don't forget, we are comparing with x squared plus bx plus c equals what? 0. So when you compare this equation with the other equation, we shall realize that this one is our a. Is that true? This one is our b, and this one is our c. The formula tells us that x is the same as negative b plus or minus root of b squared minus 4ac, the whole thing divided by 2a. So in this case, now we shall say x will be equals to negative b. This is going to be negative 3, that is b, plus or minus root of b squared, which is going to be 3 squared, minus 4 times a, which is what? 2 times c, which is negative what? Negative 1. The whole thing divided by 2 times a, which is what? Which is 2. The rest is not mathematics, just simplifying, and you get the answer. Good. So we shall have x to be equal to, this is negative 3 plus or minus square root of 3 squared is 9 minus 4 times 2 times negative 1, that is negative what? 8. Close. Divided by 2 times 2, that is what? 4. Good. Next would be x to be equal to negative 3 plus or minus 9 minus minus 8 is positive 17, right? So we shall have square root of positive 17 divided by, this is our 4. Now when you reach here, we say either x is negative 3 plus, we start with the positive one, plus root 17 over 4, or x equals to negative 3 minus root 17 over 4. Those are the two distinct values of x. So you say either x equals to negative 3 plus root of 17 over 4, or x equals to negative 3 minus root of 17 divided by 4. These are two distinct values of what? Of x. There you will have successfully solved the equation using formula method or bulldozer what? Bulldozer method. Is all that simple? Yes. Let's look at example number 2. When you see number 2, is very interesting. I just like it. You can see it also. If given that 5a plus 1x squared minus 8ax plus 3a equals to 0 has repeated roots. Please don't forget, we said repeated root can as well be called like as what? Tell me. Can as well be called? I'm asking, repeated roots can as well be called equal roots. Please get back and see it. They are as well called equal roots. And we have the condition. The condition is that b squared is supposed to be equal to 4a what? Well, see. So we have this equation. They're saying that has repeated roots. Find the possible values of what? Possible values of a. That one is just simple. If the equation is 5a plus 1, then this is x squared minus 8ax plus 3a equals to what? 0. Please don't forget we are comparing with the ax squared plus bx plus c equals to what? 0. Automatically, this one becomes our a, this one becomes our b, and this becomes our what? C. 4 repeated roots. 4 repeated roots. 4 repeated roots, comma, we expect b squared to be equal to 4a what? 4ac. So if that's the case, then that means b squared, which is going to be negative 8a back squared, is supposed to be equal to 4 times the a, which is 5a plus 1. Then times c, which is 3 what? 3a. Is that fine? Good. So from there, this is 64a squared to be equal to, let's first multiply 4 by 3a. Is that okay? Yeah, we first multiply 4 by 3a, then thereafter we shall multiply by 5a plus 1. So 4 by 3a, that is 12 what? 12a into, this is 5a plus 1. So we shall have 64a squared to be equal to, now we can open the bracket, 12a times 5a, that is 60a squared. Then 12a times 1, we shall have plus 12 what? 12a. We bring everything this side. This is a minus, a plus. When it crosses this side, it will be a minus. So we shall have 64a squared minus 60a squared, which is 4a squared. Then when this one crosses this side, it will be minus 12a to be equal to what? 0. When we looked at that, we have the common factor, that is 4 what? 4a. So we shall have 4a outside into, if I pull out 4a here, I remain with a, minus if I pull out 4a, I remain with what? I remain with 3. Close should be equal to 0. So I say either 4a equals to 0 or a minus 3 equals what? 0. Either the first one equals to 0 or the second bracket equals what? 0. Then from there we shall divide all through, for this case, divide all through by a by 4. A will be equals to 0 divided by 4. So a equals to 0. Here we take this on this side so that a will be equals to 0 plus 3. So a equals to 3. Therefore, yes, therefore a equals to 0 or a equals to 3. Quite easily what? Quite easily done. There you'll have successfully solved. Please don't forget, for repeated roots, b squared is supposed to be equals to, for a what? For ac. That one you don't need to be told. Is that fine? Good. Let's do those exercises. We have the trial questions on the chalkboard. We have trial question number 1. Solve the following equations using quadratic formula. 1. Part A, 4x squared minus 3x minus 2 equals to 0. Part 2, x squared plus 7x plus 5 equals to 0. Part 3, 3x squared minus 6x plus 2 equals to what? 0. Then question number 2 says, find the values of k for which the equation x squared minus x plus 1 over x minus 1 equals to k has repeated roots. And what are these repeated roots? Part 3, number 3, if Lx squared plus Rx plus 1 over c equals to 0 has repeated roots, show that c r squared equals to 4L. Then lastly, that's number 4, find the value of lambda for which 10x squared plus 4x plus 1 equals to 2x lambda into 2 minus x has repeated roots. Please do those numbers and don't miss the next lesson, of which will be solving quadratic equation using completing square method, and also we are going to see minimum and maximum value of a quadratic equation. See you in the next lesson. Goodbye. Goodbye. Thank you for attending. See you.